Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. This time, we're going to be talking about Intuitive Machines, a company that's been making some serious waves in the world of lunar exploration. Um, you know, they build the vehicles that actually land on the moon,
Right.
and they're helping us learn more about it. And what's really caught our eye is their stock. It's more than doubled in value just this past year. So let's dig into why that might be and what the future holds for this company.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be watching them. Their journey has been anything but predictable. They actually went public just a couple of years ago via a SPAC, a special purpose acquisition company.
Oh, yeah.
Which is sort of a fast track for a private company to kind of get listed publicly by merging with a shell company that's already listed.
Right, SPACs. Yeah, I remember those were the hot thing for a while there.
Exactly. And it initially caused a surge for Intuitive Machines. Their stock price got up to almost $82 a share. But then, as interest rates started rising, and investors got a little bit more cautious, things cooled down. And their stock dropped to just over $2 a share.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty big swing. I'd be on a roller coaster of emotions if I was an early investor.
Absolutely. Yeah. Really highlights the volatility that we often see with SPAC-backed companies. But here's where it gets interesting. Intuitive Machines, they didn't give up.
Yeah.
And they achieved something truly remarkable back in February of 2024.
Yeah, they successfully landed their Nova Sea lander named Odysseus on the moon. I mean, it was a huge deal, the first U.S. moon landing since 1972.
Huge milestone. And that directly impacted their stock price.
Yeah?
Caused a pretty significant surge for those who bought in. At that low point of just over $2 a share, a $1,000 investment would be worth almost $9,000 today.
Now, that's the kind of return that makes headlines, but this wasn't just luck. I mean, the Odysseus landing really proved that Intuitive Machines has the technology and the skills to deliver, and they got the attention of a very important player, NASA.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, NASA.
Yeah.
Awarded them 4 new contracts.
Yeah.
Following that Odysseus success.
4 new contracts. What were they?
Yeah. So, first, they got a contract to develop a lunar terrain vehicle.
Wait, hold on. Are we talking a moon buggy, from back in the Apollo days?
Yeah, exactly. But with, updated technology, of course.
Yeah.
Then there's the Commercial Lunar Payload Services contract. CLPS is what they call it. And this one is really significant because it makes Intuitive Machines a key player in delivering payloads to the moon, not just for NASA, but potentially for other customers too. Think of it like a lunar delivery service.
So they're becoming the FedEx of space.
Yeah, you could say that. And then on top of that, they've got a near space network contract, which gives them exclusive access to communicate with spacecraft near the moon. And then finally, there's a lunar logistics solutions contract. So all of these together have significantly boosted Intuitive Machines' backlog, which now stands at a record $316 million.
Okay, so they landed on the moon. They have all these major contracts from NASA. No wonder their stock is soaring. But they're not stopping there, are they? They have a second lunar lander.
No.
Getting ready for launch soon.
Yeah, you're right. The next mission is just around the corner. The Athena lander, which is also part of that CLPS contract with NASA, is scheduled to launch as early as February 26, 2025. So just a few days away.
Wow, that's exciting. And this is something I did not expect. Intuitive Machines has partnered with Columbia Sportswear.
Yeah.
That's kind of a strange one at first glance.
It is, but it shows how different industries are coming together as we venture further into space.
So tell me, how is a company known for outdoor apparel involved in a lunar mission?
Well, they're actually using some of Columbia's advanced fabric technologies, OmniShade and OmniHeat Infinity, to help protect Athena's vital systems from the really harsh conditions on the lunar surface.
So my winter jacket technology could be the key to protecting a spacecraft on the moon.
Yeah, it sounds strange, but the technology behind those fabrics is designed to regulate temperature and shield from really harsh environments, whether it's, a blizzard here on Earth or the extreme temperatures and radiation on the moon.
That's pretty cool. Never thought my outdoor gear would be involved in space exploration.
It's an unexpected collaboration for sure. And it makes you wonder what other strange partnerships we'll see in the future as space exploration continues to evolve.
So all this leads into another point of interest here. Analysts are predicting some big growth for Intuitive Machines, both in terms of their revenue and profitability.
Yeah, the projections are pretty impressive. They're expecting Intuitive Machines revenue to hit $229 million this year, which is a massive jump, 188% increase from last year. And the outlook for 2025 is even better, They're projecting revenue to climb to $360 million, so another 57% increase on top of this year.
Wow, those are some serious numbers. What's driving this? Is it just the NASA contracts?
Those are a huge part of it for sure, but it's also important to consider the new contracts they're expecting from other space agencies and even commercial customers. Remember that lunar delivery service we talked about? Well, they're positioning themselves as the leader in that market, and that's generating a lot of excitement among investors.
So like a ride-sharing service to the moon.
Exactly. And the projections suggest that they're actually on track to turn a profit in 2025. Analysts are predicting their adjusted EBITDA, which is essentially a measure of operating profitability, will finally turn positive.
So for those of us who aren't financial experts, what does a positive EBITDA really mean for a company like Intuitive Machines?
It's basically a sign that their core operations are generating enough profit to cover their operating expenses. It means they're financially healthy and sustainable, which is really important for a growing company like them.
Okay, so it sounds like Intuitive Machines is in a pretty good spot financially. They've got a solid backlog of contracts, strong revenue projections, and they're on track to become profitable soon. But what about their current valuation? Earlier you mentioned their enterprise value is $1.8 billion.
Right, and considering their projected growth, that valuation at 5 times this year's sales seems reasonable. But there's one thing investors should be aware of. Intuitive Machines has more than doubled its share count in the past year to raise capital.
So they've issued more stock. But doesn't that kind of dilute the value of existing shares? Shouldn't that be a concern for investors?
It is a common practice for companies in a rapid growth phase like this. They need capitals to fund research and development and to expand their operations. So while share dilution can impact the value of existing shares, it's not necessarily a red flag, especially if the company is using those funds wisely to drive growth and generate future profits.
And it seems like Intuitive Machines is doing just that. They're investing in their technology, securing big contracts, and building a strong foundation for future success.
Yeah, and they've taken steps to ensure they have the financial resources they need to carry out their plans. They ended last quarter with nearly $90 million in cash and equivalents and zero debt.
Wow, that's impressive. It gives them the flexibility they need to go after their goals without being weighed down by debt. In fact, their CEO, Stephen Altemus, has even stated that the company has ample liquidity for its blueprint to commercialize the moon.
Yeah, that's a bold statement.
Yeah.
But based on their recent performance and their financial position, it doesn't sound far-fetched at all.
Yeah.
They're really a pivotal player in this new era of lunar exploration, and they seem well-equipped to really capitalize on all the opportunities that are opening up.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. From their volatile journey as a SPAC to their historic moon landing, their big contracts with NASA, and their ambitious plans for the future. But before we move on, let's take a closer look at the risks and rewards associated with investing in a company like this. Because with any ambitious venture, especially in an industry as challenging as space exploration, there's some inherent risks to consider.
Right. You always got to look at both sides of the coin. Even when the future looks bright like this, space is by nature unpredictable. Missions can fail. Launches can be delayed. There are always unforeseen technical challenges that can pop up.
Yeah, so they had a successful moon landing with Odysseus, but there's no guarantee that future missions will go as smoothly.
Exactly. And we also need to think about the competition. The space industry is changing quickly. There are other established companies and ambitious startups, all vying for a piece of the lunar pie.
Right. So Intuitive Machines isn't the only one in this lunar game. They're facing competition from other companies, developing lunar landers, too, all aiming for a share of this growing market for lunar services.
That's right. So investors need to be aware of these competitive pressures and how they might impact Intuitive Machines' future success. It's not just about technology anymore. It's about securing contracts, managing costs, and navigating all the complexities of this industry.
So it sounds like investing in Intuitive Machines, or any space company for that matter, requires a certain level of risk tolerance and a willingness to accept that there might be some setbacks along the way.
Definitely. This is not a set it and forget it type of investment. It takes careful research, thoughtful consideration, and a willingness to stay informed about the company's progress and the broader space industry as a whole.
Earlier, we talked about Intuitive Machines CEO, Stephen Altemus, and his statement about the company having a blueprint to commercialize the moon. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, I think it suggests a vision that goes beyond simply fulfilling government contracts. He sees a future where the moon is a hub for all sorts of commercial activity, a place where businesses can operate and generate revenue.
So it's not just about scientific exploration and national pride anymore. It's about creating a sustainable lunar economy.
Exactly. Think about the possibilities we've already talked about. Your idea of a lunar delivery service. But there's also the potential for lunar mining, tourism, even manufacturing, using resources found on the moon.
That's fascinating. But let's bring this back to our listeners for a moment. We talked about the partnership between Intuitive Machines and Columbia Sportswear. But what other industries, maybe some less obvious ones, do you think could benefit from partnering with a company like Intuitive Machines?
That's a great question. Aside from the industries we've already mentioned, like mining and tourism, think about the industries that rely heavily on rare earth minerals. The moon is known to have deposits of these valuable resources, which are essential for electronics, renewable energy technologies, and all sorts of high-tech applications.
So we could see partnerships with companies involved in electronics manufacturing, battery production, even those working on advanced materials and nanotechnology.
Absolutely. And don't forget about the pharmaceutical industry. The moon's unique environment with its low gravity and lack of atmosphere could offer new opportunities for research and development of new drugs and medical treatments.
Those are some really intriguing possibilities. It seems like the potential applications for lunar resources and technologies are vast. And we're really just scratching the surface.
Yeah, we're still in the early stages. But as Intuitive Machines keeps pushing the boundaries and expanding their operations on the moon, I think we'll see even more creative and unexpected partnerships emerge. These collaborations will not only drive innovation, but also help create a sustainable and economically viable lunar presence.
This has been a really insightful conversation so far. We've learned a lot about Intuitive Machines, their remarkable achievements, their ambitious plans, and the potential risks and rewards of investing in this emerging lunar economy. But perhaps the most exciting part of all of this is the potential for future discoveries and advancements.
Yeah, definitely. As Intuitive Machines continues to push the limits of what's possible on the moon, they're paving the way for a future where humanity's reach extends beyond Earth. The knowledge we gain, the technologies we develop, and the resources we unlock could have profound implications for life here on Earth and our understanding of the universe.
It is a really exciting time to be witnessing this new era of space exploration, and Intuitive Machines is definitely a company to watch as they continue to make their mark on the moon. So we'll leave you with this thought. What other unexpected collaborations, innovations, or breakthroughs might come out of this renewed interest in the moon? The possibilities seem endless, and the future of lunar exploration is filled with promise.
I can't wait to see what happens next.
Me too. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Intuitive Machines. We'll be back soon with more fascinating insights into the world of business and technology. Until then, keep looking up. So we've been talking about this incredible rise of Intuitive Machines and all the exciting developments around their lunar exploration efforts. But, with any ambitious venture, especially one in a field as challenging as space, there are bound to be risks involved. So what are some of the potential challenges that Intuitive Machines might face as they keep moving forward?
Yeah, you're right. It's important to acknowledge those risks, even when things seem to be going really well. The space industry is unpredictable by nature. Missions can fail. Launches can be delayed. And there are always those unforeseen technical challenges that can suddenly appear.
So even though they had that successful moon landing with Odysseus, there's no guarantee that future missions will go as smoothly.
Right. And we also have to consider that the competition's getting tougher. The space industry is evolving really rapidly. There are other companies, both well-established players and some really ambitious startups, all trying to get their share of what you might call the lunar pie.
So Intuitive Machines isn't the only one playing in this lunar game. They're up against other companies that are also developing lunar landers and all aiming for a piece of this growing market for lunar services.
Exactly. So investors need to be aware of these competitive pressures and how they might affect Intuitive Machines' success down the line. It's not just about having the best technology anymore. It's about securing those contracts, managing costs effectively, and navigating all the complexities that come with operating in the space industry.
It sounds like investing in Intuitive Machines, or really any space exploration company, requires you to have a certain tolerance for risk and an understanding that there might be some bumps in the road.
Absolutely. This is the kind of investment where you can just set it and forget it. It requires you to do your research, really think things through, and be willing to stay informed, not just about the company's progress, but also about what's happening in the space industry as a whole.
So earlier we were talking about Stephen Altemus, the CEO of Intuitive Machines, and he made this statement about the company having a blueprint to commercialize the moon. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, I think what he's getting at is a vision that goes beyond just fulfilling government contracts. He's talking about a future where the moon becomes a hub for all kinds of commercial activities, a place where businesses can actually operate and generate revenue.
So it's not just about scientific exploration anymore or national pride. It's about creating a whole lunar economy.
Exactly. Think about all the possibilities. We've already talked about the lunar delivery service, but there's also potential for things like lunar mining, space tourism, even manufacturing, using the resources we find on the moon.
That's pretty mind-blowing. Let's bring this back down to earth for a second, though. We talked about that partnership between Intuitive Machines and Columbia Sportswear. What other industries, maybe some that aren't as obvious, do you think could benefit from working with a company like Intuitive Machines?
That's a really interesting question. So besides the industries we've already mentioned, mining and tourism, what comes to mind are industries that rely heavily on rare earth minerals. We know the moon has deposits of these really valuable resources that are crucial for making electronics, renewable energy technologies, and all sorts of high-tech applications.
So we could see partnerships with companies that make electronics, produce batteries, maybe even those working on advanced materials and nanotechnology.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't underestimate the pharmaceutical industry either. The moon has this unique environment with very low gravity and no atmosphere. And that could create some new opportunities for researching and developing new drugs and medical treatments.
Wow, those are some pretty intriguing possibilities. It seems like there are so many potential applications for lunar resources and the technologies that are being developed for space exploration. We're just scratching the surface here.
We're really just at the beginning. But as Intuitive Machines continues to push the boundaries and expand their operations on the moon, I think we'll see even more creative partnerships and unexpected collaborations emerge. These collaborations will not only drive innovation, but also help to build a sustainable and economically viable presence on the moon.
This has been a really eye-opening conversation. We've delved into the rise of Intuitive Machines, their amazing accomplishments, their bold plans for the future, and the potential risks and rewards of investing in this new lunar economy.
As we wrap up our deep dive into Intuitive Machines, they're really leading the charge in this new era of lunar exploration where we're seeing science and business opportunities really starting to come together. So what are your final thoughts on, what their potential is for investors and the role they're playing in shaping the future of space exploration? What really stands out to me is their ability to adapt. I mean, they went through the whole SPAC roller coaster ride. They pulled off that historic moon landing. They secured those major contracts from NASA. And now they're partnering with companies from all different industries. It really shows their vision and their ability to get things done.
And they're not slowing down anytime soon, are they? I mean, with the Athena launch just days away and those ambitious plans to commercialize the moon, they're definitely a company to watch.
Definitely. But it's important for investors to remember that even though their stock has done incredibly well this past year, Intuitive Machines is still operating in a pretty new and untested market. And space is risky. There's just no way around it, and there are no guarantees.
So the potential rewards could be huge, but investors need to be realistic and consider both the upsides and the risks involved, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Do your research, think long-term, and stay informed about what the company's doing and what's happening in the space industry as a whole. That's key for anyone thinking about investing in Intuitive Machines.
This deep dive has given us a lot to think about. We've explored the rise of Intuitive Machines, their achievements, their plans, and what it all means for those looking to invest in this new lunar economy. But what's really exciting is the potential for new discoveries and advancements down the road.
As Intuitive Machines continues to push the boundaries of what we can do on the moon, they're opening up a future where humanity's presence extends beyond Earth. Think about the knowledge, the technologies, the resources that could all have a huge impact on life here on Earth and how we understand the universe.
It's an incredible time to be witnessing this new wave of space exploration, and Intuitive Machines is right at the forefront. It's been fascinating learning about them, and we can't wait to see what they do next.
Absolutely. It's going to be an exciting ride.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into Intuitive Machines. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back soon with more deep dives into the world of business and technology. Until then, keep looking up.